It's time to take a look at the stories making the headlines with Camilla, Tominey and Afua, Adom. Welcome, both of you. Lovely to see you. Camilla, we've called you in, quite obviously, because the big story is what's going on in court. And we discussed on the show, you know, when you're talking about privacy, if you take a case to court, then everything comes out, even more than you were originally upset about.
This is the problem, isn't it? In order to get publicity for the case, you seek publicity and therefore are in danger of invading your own privacy. Obviously, we know that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's decision to leave the firm and go to America was to afford them more privacy, particularly in regard to Archie, their son. But when you have a court case like this, Markle versus Markle, as it's being described, and let's just go back and just explain quickly what this is about. This is about Meghan complaining that letters published by the Mail on Sunday and the Mail Online from her father to her to her father, breached her privacy and confidence and copyright in being published. The newspapers claim that they were allowed to mention this letter because a group of Meghan's closest friends briefed details of the letter to People magazine. So they say that put it in the public arena and therefore she couldn't have had a reasonable expectation it would remain private. The court case has got to stage one in that Meghan kind of lost the first aspect of it. She wanted to include other articles which she claimed showed that the newspaper group had a vendetta against her. The judge threw that out, said that would have to be the subject of a wider public inquiry. There wasn't time or money to do that. So we're now moving to the second part of the case, which is upcoming, and that's this direct battle over privacy, copyright and confidence with regard to the publication of this very very detailed letter laying out quite a lot of emotions that Meghan sent her father, and both remain estranged.
So, Afua, I guess the question is, why does Meghan feel that she has to do this? Is this just a matter of principle for them?
Well, I think it comes down to that matter of principle. And I think, you know, these were private letters between herself and her father. And I honestly didn't think that she expected them to end up in the public domain in the way that they did, never mind being published by a newspaper. Now, we know that she has named those 5 friends that spoke to People magazine. And I think probably she's done that because, you know, she probably feels like, you know, they talked about the letter. She keeps saying that she didn't expect them to do that, even though they were concerned about her mental health and concerned about her at that time. She didn't expect them to talk about the letters, and that's probably why she has in turn named them as well. But I really don't think that she thought such private things would be in the public domain and would be perhaps in the public interest. I mean, we know that we had this whole Markle versus Markle situation, and we know that he wrote and said that he wasn't going to come to the wedding. And yes, the wedding is very much in the public domain, but I think that everything that went on behind those closed doors perhaps isn't any of our business. And I think, yes, she's going there on principle and saying, look, what happens between myself and my father is between us and isn't in the public interest and shouldn't be in the public domain in this way.
But isn't as we were saying to Camilla, Afua, isn't the fact that she's gone to court, she's prepared to, she won't let that go. Many people say, oh, I understand that on a point of principle. But nevertheless, there are now other things that are coming to light that she felt unprotected by the royal family after she became the subject of false and damaging articles when pregnant. And so she couldn't defend herself against the articles, and had a detrimental effect on her mental health. All of these things, deeply personal things, which are bound to come out, and they're bound to be more.
Absolutely. As Camilla said, and she was absolutely right, if you're going to go to court for something like this, then everything else, all those skeletons will come out of the closet. And that's exactly what's happening. And I think she probably thinks that this is a chance for her to speak up about the divisions that she felt in the royal family, about the fact that she felt unprotected. This is probably her opportunity to say, look, all these things were happening to me. All these things were happening behind closed doors. I couldn't speak up on it at the time. And she probably feels like, you know what, if you're going to talk about the letters, I'm going to talk about all those other things, I'm going to talk about all those other things as well. So in a way, I think she does know what she's doing, and she does want these things to come to light. You know, she's talked about them in interviews, as we've seen, and now to be addressing them again in such a way in court, I think she probably does want that in some sort of way.
I guess, Camilla, it all boils down to this, whether or not this letter was a public interest. I mean, in the papers, Meghan hits out and claims the article revealed that the letter her dad was in public interest because the taxpayer helped pay for her wedding. She claims that the wedding generated £1 billion in tourist revenue, which far outweighed the public money spent on security. Again, I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because as soon as sort of money comes into it and it's kind of backwards and forwards, that doesn't help the case either.
Well, the 1 billion claim, some people have refuted that. I see Republic, the campaign group, have said, oh, the royals don't bring any money for tourism in. That's palpably nonsense. Of course, there is an uptick, and anyone that was in Windsor that week knows that people were spending a lot of money in that local community. And equally, you get expenditure on souvenirs and a general good feel-good factor around a royal wedding, right? But at the same time, this idea of the letter being in the public interest, it's not really that the case is going to be hanging on. It's going to be hanging on whether she intended the contents to be made public by proxy through the People magazine article. Interestingly, you guys will be familiar that there is a book coming out called Finding Freedom that's been written by two authors thought to be close to Meghan. One of them, Omid Scobie, went on American telly last year and effectively said that he thought that the letter was written in order for the contents to be public, so that the public could understand how much she had tried to reconnect with her father, because the narrative at the time was that Harry and Meghan had completely abandoned him. But speaking about family matters, the trouble with this court case is, and I can understand what Afua is saying there about Meghan wanting to set the record straight, but what impact is that going to have on future relations with their royal in-laws? What impact is it going to have on Prince Harry's relationship with the Queen? I think the Queen is going to be seeing these headlines this morning and frankly feel devastated at this idea that they weren't supported. When Meghan was first on the scene, she wasn't even married, but the Queen broke with tradition and invited her to Sandringham that Christmas. Obviously, they were given Frogmore Cottage, £2.4 million was spent on it. So I think the royals might be thinking, well, we did try and make you feel welcome, but perhaps you always wanted to break away. You wanted to do things differently.
Let's finish on something completely different. I mean, you're both sort of very Camilla, very serious journalist. Afua, you have very firm views on things. I'd like to know what you think about this. This is an American woman who we believe lives in the UK, and she has a number of times she's made tea, and it's been a national affront in the way that she's done it. So let's have a look at some of the things she's done.
We are going to make tea. So fill our mug with water, put it in the microwave, pour the milk in, drop your tea bag in, and that's how you make hot tea. Today I am going to make you some British eggs. Then you want to crack them, put them in a bowl, add a little salt, add a little pepper, add a little sugar, add a little whipped cream, whisk it together, put them in the microwave. And that's how you cook British eggs.
Well, she's done it again. She's done it again now with beans on toast.
So today we're going to make beans on toast. So the first step is you want to get your piece of bread. Then you want to add the beans. I'm just going to pour mine on there, juice and all. Next, you're going to get your cheese. Put it on top of the beans. Then you want to put it in the microwave. And that's how you make beans on toast.
Now, either this woman is the worst chef in the history of the world, or now I'm beginning to be sceptical, and I'm thinking, is she doing this on purpose? Is there an ulterior motive here? I'd be very interested to know. You can be quite cynical, Camilla. Your thoughts on this?
Well, why doesn't she own a kettle, first of all, and why is everything microwaved? When she first made the cup of tea, I did retweet it and just wrote the words, please just stop. There does seem to be this kind of gap between American understanding of British traditions, particularly when it comes to culinary endeavours. So, bless her. I don't think she's putting it on. I genuinely do think that she thinks that's real.
If she lives in this country, she must know how to make beans on toast.
Afua, what do you think?
I mean, at first I was like, oh, okay, she's doing this. Oh, maybe poor American. She doesn't know what she's doing. I've now decided that she is trolling us. She's trolling us. There's absolutely no way that this woman is doing this seriously. I mean, first of all, the juice to beans ratio, the microwave, the slice of American cheese. I'm sorry, but she's trolling us. And if she's not trolling us, she is just that stupid. And frankly, I don't know which one is worse.
Wow, you
well,
said
listen, not our views. However, if you are watching, if that is you, we have so many questions, so many questions.
We have reached out. We've reached out. We found her on TikTok. We've messaged her there. We've messaged her all over the place. We are suspicious that you haven't got back to us. Who are you? Where are you? Contact us. We need to talk. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.